Lesson 6.10, Properties of Addition. In today's lesson, we're going to discuss how we can use properties to help us add fractions with unlike denominators. Let's go ahead and get started. The first property that we're going to discuss is the associative property. In this property, I can change the numbers or the fractions in this case and create new groups. And so in the example I have below, 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/6 in parentheses equals. What I'm going to do is rewrite the problem so that my fractions with like denominators are grouped together. And so it would look like this. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/6. By doing this, I'm able to add the two fractions without having to do any conversions beforehand. So 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3 plus 1/6. Now that I'm down to two fractions, I'm going to go ahead and change my denominator so that they are alike. I have a 3 and I have a 6. And so in this case, I know if I multiply this 3 by 2, I'll get a 6. So whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. And so now my new equation is going to be 4/6 plus 1/6 equals 5/6. And my final answer is 5/6. Let's look at another example. In this particular problem, I want to use the commutative property and the associative property. The commutative property is going to allow us to change the order of my numbers, and then the associative property is regrouping them. So in this case, I'm going to look at my numbers and I see that I have eighths here and eighths here. And so I'm going to rewrite this as 2 5/8 plus 1 1/8. What I'm going to do then now is add the fraction that does not have the same denominator on the outside. And this is what we call the commutative property. I'm now going to add the numbers that are inside the parentheses. I like personally to rewrite this vertically, and so I'm going to do so here. So 5 plus 1 equals 6, 8 here, 2 plus 1 equals 3. Then I'm going to add my mixed number that is on the outside of the parentheses. How can I change these so that they're equal? Well, I know that 8 can change into 24 by multiplying it by 3, and I know 3 can change into 24 by multiplying it by 8. And so now I'm going to reset my problem. 3 and 18 24ths plus 1 16 24ths equal. I'm going to go ahead and add. And so in this case, 18 plus 16 is going to get me 34 over 24. 3 plus 1 equals 4. I'm looking at my fraction and I see that I can pull a group of 24 out. And so I always do it this way where I subtract my denominator. And that tells me I need to add. And then I get 10 24ths and 5. Let's rewrite this down here. I'm going to check to see if I can simplify even more. In this case, I can because both of these numbers are even. And so I'm going to multiply them by 2. And so my final answer is 5 5/12. What we're going to do is 2 sample problems, and I want you to go ahead and copy these down. This is not your test prep question, but I do want to see both A and B copied and solved. What I want you to do is go ahead and try using the different properties to solve these problems. Once you've solved A and B, go ahead and hit play. Alright, so let's see how you did with the problems below. I'm looking at letter A, and letter A, I'm going to actually use the associative property because I'm going to keep my order, but I'm just going to move my parentheses so that they are around the same denominator, common denominator. And so this means that I can go ahead and do 5 1/4 plus 3/4 equals 4/4, 5 4/4, which is equal to 6. I then can take this number and set up my second equation. 6 plus 1 5/12. I have no fraction here, so 5/12 stays the same, and 6 plus 1 equals 7. And so my first answer for letter A would be 7 5/12. If you have this, congratulations. If not, we want to make sure we go ahead and change that work now so that our answer is correct. Okay, let's review question B. And so I need to identify the property I'm going to use. In this case, I see that I have a 5 here and a 5 here. And so I want to use the commutative property and switch that around. And so now I'm going to have 1/5 plus 2/5 in a parentheses, and then 3/10 on the outside. I'm going to go ahead and add these two. So 1/5 plus 2/5 equals 3/5. I have 3/10 here. I know I can change this 5 into a 10 by multiplying it by 2. And so I see here, I'm going to move over here so room, 6/10 plus 3/10 equals, so 6 plus 3 equals 9, and my denominator stays the same, and I'm unable to simplify, so my final answer would be 9/10. If you have this work, excellent. If not, you want to go ahead now and change your work to reflect what you see on the screen. Alright, it's time for your test prep question. This is practicing the properties. Alright, so what you're going to do is copy down the equation here, and you're going to identify what property was used in order to solve this. You're going to select your answer. I also want you to go ahead and actually solve for this problem and show me what your answer would be. Once you have this copied down, continue to hit play. Alright, our essential question. How can properties help you add fractions with unlike denominators? Again, we need to memorize what our properties are. Associative property is going to be with grouping. Commutative property is going to be switching the order. So I'd like you to go ahead and explain how you would use either one of these in order to solve a problem. I look forward to discussing this with you in class.